Welcome to MovieQuest. Season 2 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters is almost here, bringing Titan X into the fold. But Season 1 was a non-linear puzzle that jumped between decades, making it hard to track exactly what happened and when. To understand the full scope of this legacy, we have to stop jumping around. Today, we are retelling the entire story of Season 1 in strictly chronological order. We start at the very beginning, the birth of Monarch, and follow the bloodline all the way to Skull Island. This is the complete history of the Randa family and the Titans. Our story begins in 1952 at the Manila docks. Lee Shaw is a young, insubordinate army lieutenant. As punishment for a bar brawl, he's assigned babysitting duty. His mission: escort a scientist named Dr. Keiko Miura into the Philippine jungle. In the jungle, they meet Bill Randa. Shaw is skeptical at first, but his soldier instincts kick in when they stumble upon the wreck of the USS Lawton, a ship found far inland, covered in massive claw marks. Inside the ship, they face the impossible, the Ion Dragon. This shared trauma bonds them instantly. They are now the only 3 people on Earth who know the truth about the monsters. By 1953, the trio is back in DC, working out of the Army archive. They realize the Lawton wasn't an isolated incident. History is full of these massive creatures. They decide they need a formal organization to track them. This leads to the naming of the organizations. Randa suggests the name Monarch. With the name settled, Shaw takes the lead on funding. Shaw tells Puckett, "We can't kill them until we know what they are." He frames Monarch as a planetary defense necessity. Puckett trusts Shaw. The team travels to Bikini Atoll in 1954, but the dream turns into a nightmare. The military hijacks the mission. While Keiko and Bill want to study the Titan, the military plans to use their study as a lure for a hydrogen bomb. As Godzilla surfaces, Keiko tries to stop the launch, realizing the creature is unique. Shaw has to physically restrain her to save her from the blast radius. The Castle Bravo bomb detonates. Godzilla is presumed dead, and the dream of Monarch begins to sour as the military takes control. With Godzilla dead, the government sees no need for Monarch. By 1955, Shaw is under immense pressure. He is scheduled to attend a critical budget hearing in DC to justify their existence and save their funding. But simultaneously, Keiko and Bill are in Japan pursuing a lead. They team up with an eccentric scientist named Dr. Suzuki, who has built a massive device designed to emit gamma signals, essentially a Titan lure. They call Shaw, and in a defining moment, he abandons the budget meeting to fly to Japan, choosing his friends over politics. Together, they activate Suzuki's device. The signal works. The ocean churns, and Godzilla rises from the depths, proving once and for all that he survived the hydrogen bomb. It is a scientific triumph, but it comes at a cost. Because Shaw missed that meeting in DC, the Army strips Monarch of its autonomy. The organization is folded under the Navy's command. Shaw takes the fall, accepting a rank stagnation just to keep Keiko and Bill employed as researchers. 5 years later, in 1959, the team tracks radiation to a Soviet power plant in Kazakhstan. They infiltrate the facility and discover it's a cover for a massive hole in the earth, a gateway to the hollow earth. They repel into the rift, but tragedy strikes. A swarm of endoswarmers attacks. The swarm grabs Keiko. Realizing her weight is dooming Shaw and Bill, she makes the ultimate sacrifice. She unclips her rope. Shaw watches helplessly as she falls into the darkness. Her loss destroys the trio. Consumed by grief, Shaw convinces General Puckett to authorize a suicide mission in 1962 Operation Hourglass. It's a manned descent into the hollow earth using a specialized pod. Shaw believes Keiko might still be alive. Shaw pilots the pod into the Kazakhstan rift, but the gravitational inversion is catastrophic. The pod is sucked into a vortex known as the Axis Mundi, and Shaw blacks out. While Shaw is lost in time, Bill Randa spends the next decade obsessively searching for proof. In 1973, that search leads him to Skull Island, but without Shaw to protect him, Randa's luck finally runs out. Deep in the boneyard, Randa comes face to face with a skull crawler. In his final moments, he throws his waterproof bag containing all his research tapes into the ocean, hoping it will survive him. The creature devours him whole, and the bag disappears into the waves. 9 years after Randa's death, Shaw finally wakes up. He finds himself in a sterile hospital room, feeling fine. To him, no time has passed. He fights his way into the hallway, demanding to see Keiko or Bill, but is quickly subdued by security. A man approaches him. It's Hiroshi Randa, Keiko's son, now an adult. He reveals the devastating truth. While Shaw was in the rift, 20 years passed on Earth. It is 1982. He explains that his mother is long gone, and that Bill Randa died on Skull Island years ago. Because Shaw hasn't aged, he is deemed a biological anomaly and a security risk. The modern Monarch administration refuses to reinstate him. They drug him and transfer him to a secure retirement facility in Japan, placing him under indefinite house arrest. 30 years pass. We reach 2013. In the Pacific Ocean, Japanese fishermen pull up their nets and discover something strange: an old, weathered bag. It is Bill Randa's bag from 1973. They realize it belongs to Monarch and return it to Hiroshi Randa. After decades of silence, the secrets of the past have finally finally found their way home. At the exact same time, Lee Shaw is still a prisoner. He has been locked away for over 30 years. Kentaro Randa Hiroshi's son is in Tokyo preparing for his first solo art gallery show. Struggling with feelings of inadequacy, he meets a mysterious American woman named May. Instead of staying for his big moment, Kentaro chooses to leave the gallery with May, wandering the neon-lit streets of Tokyo. This spark begins a relationship that embeds May into his life. 1 year later, in 2014, the event known as G-Day occurs. In San Francisco, Kate Randa, a schoolteacher living a happy life, is on a bus filled with her students on the Golden Gate Bridge. Military jets scream overhead as Godzilla rises from the bay to fight the Mutos. The bridge cables snap and the structure begins to collapse. Kate manages to scramble to safety on the pavement, but she watches helplessly as her bus, with her students still inside, slides backward and plummets into the water. In the aftermath, wandering through a refugee camp in a stadium, a shell-shocked Kate spots her father, Hiroshi Randa. She calls out to him, but upon seeing her, he looks terrified, turns his back, and abandons her in the chaos. By 2015, the world is paranoid and filled with Titan warning drills. Kate travels to Tokyo to settle Hiroshi's affairs after he is presumed dead in a plane crash. She goes to his apartment and finds a set of keys hidden in a fake plant, a childhood game they played. While inside, she is shocked when a stranger enters with his own key. It is Kentaro. They compare family photos and realize Hiroshi had two secret families. They are half-siblings. Together, they find a hidden wall safe in the apartment, containing a bag of encrypted data tapes and old Monarch files belonging to their grandparents, Bill and Keiko Randa. Kentaro takes Kate to meet his ex-girlfriend, May, who is a brilliant coder. As May decrypts the files, a silent alarm trips at Monarch headquarters in Virginia. Monarch agents Tim and Duval track the signal to May's apartment. Spotting the agents, Kate, Kentaro, and May flee through the back alleys of Tokyo. They are cornered on a rooftop and forced to scramble down bamboo scaffolding at a construction site to escape into the subway crowd. Following a lead from the decrypted files, the trio travels to a retirement home in Japan. There, they find Lee Shaw, a former soldier who is over 90 years old but looks decades younger. He is living under Monarch house arrest. Shaw reveals he knew their grandmother, Keiko, and that Monarch is a secret organization, not the police. Convinced that Hiroshi might still be alive, Shaw persuades the kids to help him escape. They cut his ankle monitor, steal a car, and head to the docks. To lose their pursuers, they board a ferry to South Korea. Shaw explains that Hiroshi's plane disappeared in Alaska near a radiation spike. In Pohang, they find Shaw's old contact, a smuggler pilot named Do Ho, who agrees to fly them to the crash site. They land on a frozen lake in the Alaskan tundra. They find the wreckage of Hiroshi's plane, but it wasn't a crash. The plane landed safely and was destroyed later. Nearby, inside a small tent, Kentaro finds pencil shavings on a desk, confirming his father was there alive. Outside, they find a frozen corpse, but it is the pilot of Hiroshi's plane, not Hiroshi. Suddenly, the ground rumbles. The Frostvark, a titan that feeds on heat, bursts from the ice. It lunges at Duho's plane and inhales the thermal energy, freezing Duho solid instantly before crushing the aircraft. Kentaro fires a flare gun to distract the beast, allowing the group to run into a narrow ice cave. During the panic, the ice breaks and May falls into freezing water. Kate and Kentaro pull her out, but she begins to succumb to hypothermia. They emerge into a blizzard where Shaw and Kentaro argue. Kentaro wants to walk to a distant radar dome, but Shaw insists May won't survive the trek. Kentaro angrily strikes out on his own, while Shaw, Kate, and May retreat to the tent. Inside the tent, to keep a dying fire going and save May's life, Shaw burns the maps. Kate takes the only photo she has of her father and throws it into the flames. Meanwhile, alone and freezing in the storm, Kentaro reaches the abandoned radar dome. He finds fresh tire tracks, proving Hiroshi left the area alive. He finds an old radio and desperately tries to make it work. He broadcasts a Mayday signal. A voice cuts through the static. It is Tim, the Monarch agent, chasing them. Realizing he has no other choice to save his friends, Kentaro gives him their coordinates, effectively surrendering them to Monarch in exchange for rescue. Back at the tent, the Frostvark returns. Drawn to their body heat, Shaw constructs a makeshift bomb from flares. Suddenly, a helicopter spotlight cuts through the storm. Kate waves, attracting the monster. The helicopter lands. It is Tim and Duval, guided by Kentaro's call. They rescue the group, dragging the half-frozen May on board. As they lift off, Shaw drops the bag of encrypted files. The Frostvark freezes the bag, destroying the data they risked everything for. The group is saved, but they are now in Monarch custody. After being pulled from the freezing tundra by Tim and Duval, the group is flown to a nearby Monarch field outpost in Alaska. They are treated for hypothermia and held briefly quickly while Deputy Director Verdugo assesses the situation via comms. Instead of transporting them to headquarters as prisoners, Verdugo makes a strategic calculation. She realizes Monarch has lost Hiroshi's trail, but his children act as a compass. She orders her agents to release them, instructing Tim and Duval to shadow their movements. Let them run, she decides. They'll lead us right to him. Confused but relieved, the group is released from the Alaskan base. They board a flight to San Francisco, arriving in the city exhausted and on edge. Needing a place to regroup, they head to Kate's childhood home. The atmosphere in the house is heavy. Kentaro steps inside, looking around at the life his father lived away from Tokyo. The family photos, the American furniture, the domestic normality. He is introduced to Caroline, Kate's mother. It is a deeply awkward and painful moment. The son of the secret family meeting the wife of the public family. Caroline is gracious, but visibly tired, offering them food and a place to wash up, while Kate struggles with PTSD, as being back in San Francisco triggers flashbacks of the G-Day attack on the bridge. Realizing they can't stay there, and that the answers to their father's location must be at his workplace, they leave the house and head to Hiroshi's office in downtown San Francisco. The office is quiet, covered in dust, and filled with mundane paperwork, a perfect cover for his double life. Kate and Kentaro begin tearing the room apart, looking for anything that breaks the pattern of a normal businessman. Kentaro discovers a hidden map rolled up inside a tube or tucked behind a frame. It contains a set of coordinates and a flight path analysis pointing to a specific location in the Sahara Desert in Algeria. They realize Hiroshi isn't just running, he is following a schedule of Titan emergencies. While Kate and Kentaro are distracted by the discovery, May steps away into another room. Exhausted, terrified, and done with running from monsters and secret agencies, she makes a desperate decision. She pulls out her phone and secretly calls Duval, the agent tracking them. May whispers into the phone. She tells Duval she will give up the location, Algeria, but she has one condition. I just want to go home. She strikes a deal to trade the Randa family's secrets for her own freedom and a ticket back to her normal life. Duval agrees, and May hangs up, returning to the siblings and pretending nothing happened as they prepare to leave for Africa. In the next scene, Duval offers Shaw a partnership. She tells him that if he really wants to stop the monsters, she will help him. Shaw doesn't have to convince her, she chooses him. Just as the trio is figuring out their next move, Shaw and Duval show up at Kate's house location in San Francisco. The kids are shocked to see Duval, who they thought was their enemy, standing next to Shaw. Duval explains that she has switched sides. Shaw tells them that he and Duval are going to fix the problem at the source, the rifts, and that they know where Hiroshi is going. They load up into a truck together, leaving Kate's home behind to head for the next rift location in the desert. Tim and Deputy Director Verdugo arrive at Hiroshi Randa's secret office in San Francisco shortly after Kate, Kentaro, and May have left. When they enter the office, they see that it has been ransacked. The most important clue, the map on the wall that showed Hiroshi's secret destinations, is gone because the trio took it with them. Verdugo is frustrated because she thinks they have hit a dead end without the map. However, Tim notices something on the empty wall. Although the paper map is gone, the pins, or the holes left by the pins, are still there. Tim realizes that the pinholes form a specific pattern. Because Tim is a Monarch analyst and knows the world map and Monarch outpost locations by heart, he is able to mentally connect the dots. Tim looks at the pattern of holes and realizes they correspond to specific coordinates. He figures out exactly what the trio figured out. The next location isn't random. It is a specific spot in the Algerian desert. Because Tim was able to decode the pinholes, he and Verdugo immediately mobilize a Monarch strike team to fly to Algeria. The coordinates lead Shaw, Duval, and the trio deep into the Algerian desert. Miles of scorching sand, completely empty, until they spot a single vehicle. It's him, Hiroshi Randa. He isn't hiding. He is standing next to a truck rigged with a strange humming machine. It's a gamma-ray simulator. Shaw realizes the horrifying truth immediately. Hiroshi isn't trying to seal the rifts to keep the monsters in. He is sending a signal to lure them out. But before they can stop him, the sound of heavy rotors cuts through the air. Monarch has arrived. Tim and Verdugo touch down in a tactical helicopter, their strike team flanking the perimeter. They have the group surrounded. It is a three-way standoff. Shaw's rogue team, Hiroshi, and the might of Monarch. Verdugo moves to arrest them, but the desert has other plans. The ground begins to liquefy beneath their feet. Hiroshi's device worked too well. Exploding from the sand dunes, a massive shape rises, blotting out the sun. It isn't a new monster. It is Godzilla. The king has been sleeping right beneath them. Chaos erupts. The sheer force of Godzilla's emergence knocks the Monarch helicopter sideways. Sand and debris blast the area like a bomb. In the blinding dust storm, Hiroshi seizes his chance. He jumps back into his truck and speeds away, escaping his family once again. Godzilla lets out a deafening roar that shakes the earth, ignoring the tiny humans as he begins to march. The group is left coughing in the dust, stunned and terrified. As the dust settles, a different kind of fracture breaks the group apart. In the silence of the aftermath, May breaks down. She confesses to Kate and Kentaro that Duval and Shaw didn't just find them by luck. She admits she called Duval. She made a deal to trade their location in exchange for her own freedom, a guarantee guarantee that she could finally go home. She sold them out. Desperate and fractured, the group retreats to the Algiers airport to escape, but the nightmare isn't over. Separated from the others in the busy terminal, May is suddenly grabbed. A bag is thrown over her head. It isn't Monarch, it is Apex Cybernetics. Her past has finally caught up with her, and she is dragged away into the shadows. Kate and Kentaro are left searching the crowd until they spot Tim. He survived the crash, battered and limping through the terminal. They corner him, accusing Monarch of taking their friend, but Tim reveals the cold truth. Monarch didn't take her. Her name isn't May, it is Cora, and she is in the hands of Apex Cybernetics. Tim helps them locate her, orchestrating a high-stakes negotiation. Monarch steps in, leveraging their power to cut a deal with Apex. May is released, her debt cleared, but it comes at a price. The trio must now work for Monarch to stop Lee Shaw. Back at Monarch HQ, they scramble to predict Shaw's next move. They analyze the data and find the pattern. The next target isn't just a rift, it's a graveyard. Kazakhstan, the abandoned power plant where Shaw lost Keiko decades ago. The team races to the site, desperate to intercept him, but they are too late to stop the initiation. Shaw is already deep inside the facility, standing at the edge of the pit, rigged to blow the reactor. He believes destroying it will seal the gateway forever. Monarch and the trio breach the chamber, screaming for him to abort, but Shaw pulls the lever. The charges detonate. The explosion doesn't seal the rift, it rips it wide open. The containment fails. From the depths of the silo, a massive insect-like titan, the Endoswarmer, screeches and claws its way to the surface. The entire facility begins to collapse into the glowing vortex. The ground crumbles beneath them. Kate slides toward the abyss. May reaches for her, and Shaw dives to save them both, but the pull is too strong. In a blinding flash of blue light, Shaw, Kate, and May are swallowed by the portal, vanishing into the hollow earth. Kentaro is left alone on the precipice, watching his world disappear into the dark. Kate wakes up in a world that shouldn't exist. The colors are wrong. The air is heavy. She is hunted by strange beasts, but she is saved by a ghost. Keiko Randa is alive. She hasn't aged a day since 1959. Time here is broken. Shaw and May find them, and the reunion is heartbreaking. Lee Shaw finally sees the woman he loved and lost, trapped alone for decades, but they cannot stay. The realm is unstable. On the surface, Monarch has given up on them, but Kentaro, Tim, and Hiroshi refuse to let go. Desperate and out of options, they make a deal with the devil. They turn to Apex Cybernetics. Using Apex's advanced technology and resources, they engineer a way to track the signal punching through the rift. In the world below, the group rigs Shaw's original Titan pod to ride the gravitational current home. They need a massive energy surge. They get it, but not how they planned. The Ion Dragon attacks, but then the king arrives. Godzilla charges through the portal, battling the dragon in a clash that tears a hole in the sky. As the portal destabilizes, the launch mechanism jams. Shaw makes the ultimate choice. He climbs outside to manually release the coupling. He looks at Keiko one last time, frees the locks, and lets go. The pod rockets upward, leaving Lee Shaw behind in the land of monsters. The pod crash lands on the surface. The hatch blows open. Kate, May, and Keiko stumble out, gasping for real air. Kentaro runs to them, embracing his sister and meeting the grandmother he never knew. But the relief is short-lived. The soldiers surrounding them aren't Monarch. They are Apex. Brenda Holland steps forward. Kentaro reveals the terrifying truth. They haven't been gone for a few hours. On the surface, 2 years have passed. Apex is now in charge. As sirens wail, the ground shakes again. Through the jungle trees, a giant fur-covered hand slams down. A massive ape beats its chest and roars. Kong has arrived. The story isn't over. With Season 2 arriving this February, the battle for the Hollow Earth is about to begin. For more updates and theories, this is MovieQuest. Subscribe now.